the LaxFactor podcast. What is up, college lacrosse fans? You're watching episode number 292 of the LaxFactor podcast. I am your Blue Moon Schwilling host, Ted Hoost, and today we're going to talk about the games that will be being played between Friday and Saturday and even into Sunday, as we have a bunch of teams that are playing both Friday and on Sunday between the Ivy League and the ACC. But I'm going to shut up and we'll get into this. Before I do, as always, go to laxfactor.com. You can get yourself t-shirts, swag, and all of that good stuff, and generally just see what videos are out and watch them from there. And as always, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the crap out of the podcast with everybody. And that's it. All right, let's talk about the games that are being played right now. Actually, I want to refresh this page real quick. We have Cornell and Hobart. Hobart came out, and I think they were winning at one point 6-3, 7-3. And Cornell's been chipping back into it. Now they've got an 11-7 lead, and the third quarter has started. So it looks like they're going to turn it around there. Michigan beat up on Canisius. Stony Brook beat Iona, but not by a lot, so that's surprising. Providence handled Merrimack and St. Bonaventure over Mercyhurst. So that's it for those. Now let's get into actually talking about the games that really matter here. Starting on Saturday, we're going to start with the number one Notre Dame at number 2 Maryland. And I know they're not really at Maryland, but I think they're playing in Atlanta. But through this whole show, I don't care where they're playing. I'm just saying at in terms of, hey, that's the home team technically. And I believe Maryland is, in fact, the home team. So Notre Dame hasn't played enough games for their defensive efficiency to matter much, but they are 36th overall. So this highly regarded Notre Dame defense has not been playing up to par, but then again, they've been playing some lopsided games against crappy opponents. You get your subs some burn, you're playing loose, and you're playing fast as dudes are running up to score a little bit. So I presume that's going to even out. They'll probably end up in the top 10 soon, but right now their number doesn't look great. Maryland's defense, however, they're ranked 5th by that same metric, and their sample includes 3 teams that are still ranked in Richmond, 7 goals against, Syracuse, 7 goals against, and Princeton, 9 goals against. So if there is a defense that's ready to hang out and cover Chris Kavanaugh, Jake Stevens, and the rest of the Notre Dame offense, it's the Terps. Kavanaugh, 9-8 so far. Jake Stevens has 10 goals, no helpers. He might go the whole season without a helper. Probably not. He'll probably get 3, maybe 5 as the season wears on. Logan McNaney was the proper choice here to be rocking the number 1 for Maryland. He stopped 62% of the shots he's faced so far this season and is a huge reason Maryland is 4-0 right now. Thomas Ricciardelli has looked good so far in cage for Notre Dame, 60%, but again, the Irish haven't played a top-notch offense yet. Georgetown, a very good lacrosse team, but not a top-notch offense, and the Terps offense is ranked 10th in the land, so that's going to be a good test for the Notre Dame defense here as well. Face-off battle, it's going to end up being huge. Will Lynch, 62%. Colin Hagstrom, 59%, comes in as kind of a change of pace against the Maryland duo that nearly splits here between Shea Keithler, who's at 67%, and Sean Creeder, who comes in at 51%. Right now, Keithler, 7 draws more than Creeder. So that is going to be a coin flip, in my opinion here. I think this is going to be an important battle, but I don't see either group letting it get away from them. And as we've seen here, faceoffs matter a lot less than I always assume they do here, because in the end last week there was a bunch of teams that lost the faceoff battle pretty badly and still won the game. Harvard, just going absolutely bonkers with that statistic here. Now, what surprised me in a pleasant way so far for Maryland is how they're scoring so far here. They're currently ranked 10th in adjusted offensive efficiency, scoring on 35% of their possessions. Danny Kelly, 9 goals, 2 helpers. Eric Spanos is 7-4. Matthew Keegan, the transfer midfielder, 7-3. They're all sitting at double-digit points over the first 4 games. Braden Erksa is at 9 points right behind them. So they've showed a little bit more depth in their scoring than I thought they would. Bryce Ford and Zach Whittier hanging at 7 points each right behind them. A little bit, I'd almost say, goal heavy, which is surprising as well. I thought this Maryland offense was going to have to rely on, motion, feeding guys, hitting guys, stepping down after, maybe a little bit after slides have been drawn. But these guys have actually been, winning one-on-one battles here and scoring goals that way, carrying the rock themselves. So surprising out of Michigan. With Notre Dame, you know what you're going to get. So far, they lead the nation in offensive efficiency, scoring on 46.8 of their possessions, which is 7% better than Cornell, sitting behind them at 39.7, although Cornell's playing Hobart right now, and after that kind of slow first quarter, their offense has been on fire, so they may improve that number here tonight. And they deserve it. So far, Cornell, I think, has played a slightly tougher schedule than Notre Dame, although maybe not now that Georgetown's been in the mix here. Now, something to watch, however, is and then with the Notre Dame defense, you know what you're going to get. With the Notre Dame offense, you know what you're going to get here. Are their numbers a little bit bloated though, because they've been playing against bad teams? Like I said, Georgetown's good, but their first two games were against chumps, whereas Maryland has a much better sample size here thus far. So I'm curious to see how that will translate. Notre Dame didn't put up a ton of points against a Georgetown defense that, what were they ranked 30th, I think, so far in terms of efficiency, and they've also got a pretty good sample size here so far. So Maryland here being the real deal, 5th-ranked defense against an offense that we know is going to be able to put up goals. I'm curious to see how it goes. My prediction, though, Notre Dame by 1 to 3 goals in this one is, I think, reasonable. And there's no home field advantage. Both teams have to travel, albeit I think Notre Dame's probably traveling a little bit further. So, yeah, Notre Dame by 1 to 3, but it could be a coin flip flat out. Next one, we'll talk about number 13 Penn State at number 4 North Carolina. This one's one of the Friday night games. Carolina coming off a win over then number 3 Johns Hopkins on Saturday. They're in a unique position at the moment with both their offense and defense playing at a high level, ranked in the top 20, ranked 15th offensively and 17th defensively. Offensively, Owen Duffy and Dom Petramala have been must-see TV. Petro has 15 goals and a single helper, and line mate Owen Duffy's contributed 8 goals and 4 assists to the Tar Heels offensive cause. Against Hopkins, they were both highly aggressive, stupid effective. When Duffy kind of went off in the first half, Petramala was pretty consistent, fucking them up through the whole game overall. Now, something that may factor here is the Penn defense. They're currently ranked 2nd in the land after their first 3 contests. That number may indicate an ability to stifle some of UNC's flame, some of their offensive firepower, and UNC has been a little bit heavy in the Duffy and Petramala in terms of putting those points up here. So the big reason I think, though, that Penn's defense can quiet at least Petramala a little bit is I don't think he's going to be pulling that 22-foot laser shit on Emmett Carroll, Penn's goaltender Emmett Carroll. He's rocking a 67% save percentage as I'm speaking on this now, which puts him 2nd in the country behind Army's Sean Byrne, who's right now sitting at 75.8%, which is just a ridiculous statistic for a goalie right now after I think Army's got 3 or 4 games under their belt. We'll talk about him here in a little bit. Michael Gianfrancaro, he didn't have his best day in net against Hopkins last weekend, but he showed up when they needed him most. End of the game, his team has a 1-goal lead. Russell Melendez dodging from out top with about minute 15 or so left. Probably an ill-advised shot if you are the Hopkins coaching staff. Even Melendez would probably want it back, but it doesn't matter. You step up, you make the save, you get the ball back up the other end with a successful clear, and your team stalls the clock out and you win by a goal here. So he made a big save when the game was on the line. Gianfrancaro did. Now I think Penn's going to be up to the task overall. I think it's going to be a very good game on a Friday night nonetheless here. I'm still, though, going to say North Carolina by 1 to 3 goals in this one. Army, Lafayette, this is another Saturday game, number 5 Army. And you heard what I said about Sean Byrne. He's putting up a very stingy 76% so far between the pipes. Lafayette, 3-1. That's awesome, but it isn't going to matter, I don't think, overall against Army. Army is going to be tough at the dot with Will Coletti. He's won 59%, albeit this Evan Prince dude, 65% so far over their first 4 games. So it's not bad. I'm just not sure the guys that he's faced are going to be of the quality thus far that Coletti has faced. I could be wrong. And, that's going to be key here. If Lafayette's going to have a chance, they're going to have to do something and win the battle somewhere, and the face-off dot would be one of those places they could try to equalize or maybe get a little bit of a possession edge. Army has a definite edge in terms of defense. Like we talked about, Sean Byrne, 76% here. This Joe Doherty for Lafayette's been good, 58%, but Sean Byrne is an absolute dog. And then Jackson Eicher, Braden Fountain, the freshman, those guys both above 20 points. Gunnar Fellows, dopest name in lacrosse, I have to say it every time, 14 points thus far. Very goal heavy here for Braden Fountain and Gunnar Fellows, which is what you want when you're an Army team that's trying to kind of figure out who's going to put goals in the back of the net for you. They're 4-0. What are we talking about here? Though, I mean, obviously, Army's going to win. I'm going to say 8 to 10 goals. Once again, I don't think Army is going to put it on a team so badly that they win by 13, 14, 15. They could, but Lafayette being more legit than normal and Army just being a team that handles their business and doesn't do a whole lot more. I think 8 to 10 is reasonable, but it could go 7, it could go 15. We shall see. Next one is number 8, Princeton at number 7, Duke, another Friday night game. Now, a huge factor in this game is going to come down to the faceoff dot. How is Princeton's Andrew McMeekin going to do against Ben McCarthy and Luke Engelke, who both pretty much split draws within 3 of each other? Both have taken 40 draws. Actually, McCarthy's taken 43 if you want to be a dick about it, and Engelke has taken 58. McMeekin, though, 35%. So that's Princeton has proved that against Penn State they could get waxed and still win a game against a good team in Penn State. I think Penn State's ranked 10th, 9th, something like that at this moment. And then against Maryland, they got waxed and lost the game by 4 goals, but they were in it. It was respectable. So I expect this to be a very close game, but that battle is going to matter overall. Now, Princeton's offense is one of the reasons why the faceoff dot won't matter completely, because they are ranked 20th. Despite playing 2 very good defensive teams so far in Penn State, who is ranked 11th defensively, and Maryland, who's 5th. Duke's defense currently ranks 6th, but they haven't played a good offensive team yet. So once again, you have a decent sample size, but they haven't gone through their ACC schedule, and their non-conference schedule hasn't been all that brutal. So I like Princeton's chances of scoring goals here in this game, probably into the double digits. Now, Duke's problem is they haven't been able to score goals over their last 2 games. It only took 8 goals to beat Michigan. I think it's going to take a lot more than 8 goals to beat Princeton. They better give McAdory the ball on at least, every other possession. Get him some good looks. I think that will help them. I don't think we can call this one like an upset alert, as these 2 teams are pretty closely ranked overall, but I still like Princeton by 1 to 3 goals in this one. I think I think the Tigers are going to figure out how to kind of play that offense while losing the possession battle. And I think they'll get to that 40% threshold in terms of faceoffs. And I think that's why Princeton's going to be able to beat Duke. If you're listening only, it's going to get quiet for a second as I swill my beer. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the next game here. Number 9, Penn State against Yale. That is a Saturday game, and it's really hard to peg Yale at this point. They got a really late start, and by the time they suit up to play Penn State on Saturday, it will only be their 3rd game. They're 0-2 with losses to Villanova and Army, and the Army game wasn't even close. That was kind of a blowout here, like a 8-9 goal blowout. Penn State, on the other hand, 3-1, coming off a win over Navy, and they also have a 15-5 win over a Villanova team that beat Yale by 2. I don't think that matters all that much, but there it is. On one hand, I love the 1-2 combo of Chris Lyons and Leo Johnson, but they've done exactly dick over their first 2 games, 4 points each. That's not going to be good enough here, especially when you're allergic to playing defense, as Yale has been for pretty much since. What's his name? Chris. I'm just going to stutter through it if I try to figure out this dude's name. I'll think of it. The dude that went to Notre Dame. You guys know who the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, so anyway, Yale, not formidable on the defensive side. Meanwhile, you got Matt Traynor over here for Penn State, 16-6 so far. So that dude is averaging 5.25 points per game, if I did my complex math correctly. 16 goals, 6 helpers, and they're getting enough scoring from the guys in the trenches that's going to help them here. Penn State has the definite edge at the faceoff dot. Kobe Baldwin, 62%, or no, actually at the faceoff dot. Yeah, Kobe Baldwin's their faceoff guy. I'm stuttering through my notes here, but Baldwin, as you see here, 62%. He's taken 90 draws already over 40 games, so that's pretty crazy. Jack Frassi in cage. Edge again to Penn State, 56% so far. And I don't think that this game's going to go, like a crazy way to Penn State, but I'm thinking Penn State by 3 to 5 goals sounds fair considering how Yale's played, and it could go 10, the way that shit has gone so far for Yale, as they have not looked good. All right, now we have number 10, Georgetown at Brown. Like I said, I don't know if this game's really being played at Brown. We're just going to say that because they're the home team in terms of the way the box score is going to look. I don't have much to go on this one. Could Brown surprise the Hoyas and pull off some sort of crazy upset? Sure. Is that likely to happen? Probably not. The Hoyas haven't been lighting the world on fire offensively. They're ranked 30th, but they held Notre Dame to 11 goals, so that has to mean something because I would presume the Brown offense is not Notre Dame. Ross Prince at the faceoff dot for Georgetown here, 61% so far, taken 71-plus draws. That's going to be scary for Brown because Ross Prince is – anytime you play a faceoff guy who has a revenge game, if you look up Petey's Revenge, you might have to say Petey's Revenge Syracuse. Petey LaSala famously got waxed one week, came back and thrashed the Orange at the Dome, I believe. Maybe it was down in Virginia. I can't remember. Ross Prince is going to be playing angry. He's going to be in need of some redemption here. So if he wins, probably he's going to win 60% of his draws and score a goal. I think Georgetown wins this game by 5-7. It could go either way by a goal or so. I don't think it'll be more than 8. I don't think the margin will be less than 4, but 5-7 is my prediction here. Johns Hopkins, number 19, Virginia at number 6. Johns Hopkins, another Saturday game. And there's a lot to like about the dudes that Virginia trot out onto the field offensively, but not a lot to like about how they played against Ohio State last weekend on Saturday. They're going to have to get their shit together because Hopkins' defense much better than the defense that Ohio State. Although, listen, Ohio State I think has 5 wins right now or something like that. So I'm going to talk shit about, or I'm going to sound like I'm talking shit about them. I'm not actually trying to, but still Hopkins defense definitely more formidable, definitely a higher ranked defense. I shouldn't even say that because I haven't looked, but I presume they are. Ryan Colsey is the only guy that showed up for Virginia. Really not, I shouldn't say the last 2 games, but definitely in the last game. 4 goals in a dish. McCabe Millen was held totally scoreless. Griffin Schutz, just a single goal. Colsey's been the guy the last 2 games, has lit the world on fire here. So get him the ball more. Maybe. I saw he was still drawing shorties at one point in that High Point game that he thrashed them, so I don't get that. But if UVA's biggest names aren't going to show up, they're going to have some bad times this season when they're playing against good teams. Now, I'm not mad at Hopkins for losing to North Carolina. That was a team that was pretty much going to bat for the Petro Boys at Homewood Field in Baltimore. So that was going to happen. Both teams, I think, though, in this one, I think they're going to play angry. I think they're going to play with a chip on their shoulders. I expect it to be physical. I expect guys to be flying all over the field. There's 0 love lost between these 2 programs. But my prediction, Hopkins by 1-3 goals. I think in the end, this ends up being a dogfight despite UVA's struggles last weekend. I just think Hopkins is going to be a little bit better and win a very close game. Next game, obviously I was going to talk about Syracuse. I wasn't going to not talk about Syracuse at Utah. Once again, maybe it's not being played at Utah. Probably not, but this is what we're going with. Utah can score goals. Syracuse's defense is having a hard time stopping teams from scoring goals. Harvard's defense wasn't anything special, and they were still able to get stops late in a game when they needed to against the highly touted Syracuse offense. The problem is that Utah is going to be playing a wounded dog to a degree in Syracuse. They can't lose 3 games in a row. They cannot afford to lose any games against unranked teams if they want to make the NCAA tournament at this point, because their schedule is not going to get any easier. So I think that's going to play against Utah. I don't think they will win on Saturday against Syracuse. I'm going to go Syracuse 5-7 goals. This could go the way of the Towson game. They could win by 9-11, but this could go the way of the Harvard game here, assuming teams are paying attention and they just decide, hey, we're going to make Syracuse beat us from outside, and if they can get a good game out of their goalie, as a lot of teams have had so far against Syracuse, then it could be a ball game. But I'm comfortable. I think Syracuse is going to win this game and go 4-2 here and take care of Utah. And then just a couple other games. I'm not going to get too deep into these. Harvard's playing Marquette. Now they're number 12. They pop right up in the rankings. I forget what they were, 15, I think, before beating Syracuse here. So I think Sam King and company are going to run roughshod all over Marquette. I do not think this will be a trap game, as they're coming off beating a highly ranked opponent in Syracuse. I think they're going to beat Marquette up pretty good. Loyola Colgate. I think this game is probably going to go the way of Colgate here. Conference foes, I believe, right? Patriot League action here. Is that what this is here? Are they already? Yeah, so they're already playing their conference games here. So that should be a good one, but I do like Colgate in this one. Liam Connor, Jack Turner, Rory Connor, those guys have been excellent. So I'm going to pick Colgate in this one, although Loyola, man, they got to get a win, 0-4. That's not great for them. They were ranked, the Loyola and Towson of those two teams, they were ranked coming into the season, and man, and Towson, I think, was highly ranked. Or maybe Loyola wasn't, but Towson definitely was, and they have not performed at all. Boston U sitting at 4-0, popping in at number 20. I gave them either my 19 or my 20 vote in my media poll submission here. Navy at 3-1. This should be a good game here. This also a conference game, so apparently the Patriot League is getting their play underway starting this weekend, so that should be excellent. I'm not predicting on this one. I think this will be a dogfight and a very good game. Ohio State should beat Bryant, coming off kicking UVA's ass bloody. I believe that they're going to probably do the same to Bryant here. And like I said, Ohio State right now 5-1. They got a loss to Utah, and everyone was chirping and booing them. Then easy wins, really 4 easy wins before heading into Virginia and then kicking the crap out of them. So I'm going to go Ohio State, obviously, over Bryant, I think, here. And then a bunch of teams turn around and play on excuse me. Turn around and play on Sunday as well. So Cornell's they're playing right now. And actually, let's do this here. Let's get a little bit of a update on the scores. Hobart Cornell. Okay, so Cornell's kicking the crap out of Hobart now. So that game is over. So yeah, Cornell, they're going to be 3-0 heading to Richmond to take on the Spiders here. I think Cornell's going to win this game, but Richmond has surprised. As we've said so far, they played that first game reasonably tough with Maryland, beat up on Robert Morris, beat Virginia, beat Lehigh in a close one. So I think Cornell's going to win the game, but I think Richmond will make a game of it. North Carolina playing Friday night against an Ivy League opponent. They're going to play Sunday as well against Princeton. And I'm not going to dive into any of these matchups here. I'm just telling you they're playing. But you've got 2 of the best shooters in the country in Coulter Mackesy and Dominic Petramala going at it in that one. And then on Sunday, Duke is going to take on Penn. So it looks like they're just flipping the script here. But we got an Ivy League ACC showdown here down in North Carolina. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about it other than Emmett Carroll is a dog. He is a filthy, filthy goaltender and is going to do everything he can to pull off the upset with Duke. Penn has a history of beating Duke early in the season. Granted, this isn't February, it's early March, but it's pretty damn close to February overall. So that is it. That's the show for this week. Come back on Sunday. I'll put some shorts up between today, Wednesday. It's right now it's Tuesday night. Cheers to that. And yeah, I'll put some shorts up here between now and Sunday, but I'll put the Sunday show up. It'll be up by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock or so. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all that crap, share the crap out of the show. Go to LaxFactor.com, buy a t-shirt, because all these videos get flagged if I have highlights in them and I don't make any revenue that way. And that is it. Come back Sunday. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And Hoost is out. The LaxFactor Podcast.